Multiplying fractions. Multiplying fractions, guess what? It is so much easier than adding and subtracting fractions. You know, it's a lot easier. Let me tell you why. No common denominator. Doesn't matter. Don't need it. Okay? We always, up until now, we've always had to look for a common denominator before we could do anything. Now we don't. Now we don't have to do that. All we got to do, 1 times 2 is 2. 4 times 5 is 20. And we got to reduce. We need to divide top and bottom by 2. Divide top and bottom by 2, we end up with 1/10. Okay? It's pretty simple. It's very simple. It's easy. I want to show you something else, though, because there can be a trick. We talked about greatest or least common multiples last week a lot. We talked a little bit about greatest common factor. We've always used greatest common factor to try and reduce. So when I just divided by 2 here, I just used the greatest common factor between 2 and 20. Remember, common factors are numbers that like 2 and 20 can both be divided by evenly. Okay? The factors of 2 are 1 and 2. The factors of 20 are 1, 2, 4, 5, and 20. Well, what factor do they have in common? 2. What's the greatest one they have in common? 2. So we divide by 2 and we end up with 1/10. Now, the last thing I want to tell you about, and we can reduce before we multiply. Now, don't get this in your head that, oh, I don't need to do this. I don't need to worry about this. I'll just reduce at the end. Watch. These numbers, and I'll circle the ones that go together, different colors. In red, 1 and 5, is there a number that is, do they have a greatest common factor? The only one they got is 1, so that's not going to do anything. What about 4 and 2? Does 4 and 2 have a greatest common factor? It is. They do, and it's 2. So what we do then is we take 2 and we divide 2 by the greatest common factor, which happens to be 2. What is 2 divided by 2? 1. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. So we change those. We divide those numbers by the greatest common factor, and we end up with 1/10. Because 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 5 is 10. We've already reduced. Now, again, some of you are like, well, I'll just reduce at the end. I don't really need to do this. Well, what happens when you have a problem that's just slightly bigger, like this one? We could do it the way that you guys, the way I originally showed you. You could go 5 times 4, which is 20, and then 7 times 15. Raise your hand if you know 7 times 15 right now. 1. One person. Okay? What is it? No, you actually don't know it. It's 105. All right. Now, can we reduce this one? So divide by 5 here, divide by 5 here. We end up with 4. And what is 105 divided by 5? Quick, 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 quick. $21. All right. That's some big division, isn't it? That's some big multiplication, isn't it? Only one person knew 7 times 15, and it took a while. 105 divided by 5, it took a while. Watch this. Look for our greatest common factor. 7 and 4 doesn't have one. Does 5 and 15 have one? What is it? It's 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 1. Raise your hand if you know what 7 times 3 is. Oh, look, just about everybody. Oh, everybody in the room. Isn't that multiplication a lot easier? Like I said, yes, you could do it the other way and reduce at the end. You could. But knowing how to do this is a skill that you need to have. It's not something you get to ignore and just go, I don't really need to know that. This is something you need to know how to do by reducing this, by using greatest common factor and reducing and then multiplying. Yes?
Could both of them, like in a different problem, could both of them be reduced?
Absolutely. Yes, and we'll get there. Why don't you guys try this one on your whiteboard? We're going to do it together. Now, first of all, look for common factors. It doesn't even necessarily have to be the greatest common factor. Just look for a common factor. Is there a common factor that 4 and 10 has? That 4 and 10 can both be divided out evenly? Yeah, what is it? 2. 4 divided by 2 is what? 2. 10 divided by 2 is what? 5. Is there a common factor that 9 and 6 can both be divided by? Yeah, 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now do your multiplication. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 5 is 15. There you go. You guys try this one. What did you learn about this one? What did you learn about this one? If you can't reduce before you do the multiplication, that does not necessarily mean that you don't have to reduce at the end. Because if you look at this one, there is no greatest common factor for 2 and 3, and there's no greatest common factor for 1 and 6. So then when we do the multiplication, we end up with 3 over 12, which still has to be simplified. So just because there's no diagonals to check doesn't mean that we don't have to do this. One more I'd like you to try. For some reason, some of you aren't understanding that when you divide, like you divide 3 and 9, you divide 3 by 3, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. This number changes to a 1. This number changes to whatever 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay? Don't start flipping stuff around. Don't do that. Don't do that. 5 over 21. We're going to try one more because I want to make sure everybody gets it before I move on. Now, I want everyone to understand that what you have here, everything that I've just done, is something that is expected that you already knew before you even got here. This was a lesson. This honestly was supposed to be a review, because I'm pretty sure that every one of you talked about this last year. Okay? This again, this is a review. The next thing that I want to talk about is the actual lesson for what I want you guys to do, to know. We are multiplying fractions and mixed numbers. This is actually really easy. The only difference is from what we just talked about and this is I need to get this number written as a fraction. Once you have everything written the way to look like a fraction, then we can do our multiplication. So 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4 over 3. Once you have it in this form, then we can do the multiplication, just like we just have been doing. So first I check for greatest common factors. 1 and 3 doesn't have any, but 4 and 4 obviously does. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And we solve the problem. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. And there is our answer, just like that. Now, what you have right here, I need all of that on your homework. I need that on your homework. You don't have to rewrite this whole problem. You don't have to go 1/4 times 1 1/3, and then if you want to go straight from 1 1/3 to 4/3 and write that on your paper and then solve it, I'm good with that. That's what I want. But I want all of it on your homework. On your whiteboards, I would like you guys to try that one. Step number 1, get it in the form where you just have 2 fractions. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7 over 2 times 4 over 5. You need to have this. Please watch. Then I look for a greatest common factor between my diagonals. 7 and 5, there's nothing. 4 and 2, there is. It is 2. So I divide both of those numbers by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so this becomes a 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. That becomes a 1. Then I multiply. 14 over 5. I need to reduce that to 2 4/5. That's because it is easy. Yes, it is. Try this one. Step number 1, get these into a greatest common, or an improper fraction. So we'll have 12 over 13 times 19 over 8. Look for greatest common factor. This will become a 2. This will become a 3 because we're dividing by 4. Was that 27? Was it 57? What? What? I said divide by 4. 8 divided by 4 is what? 2. I have one that I want to show you guys. Not that one. No, that one's easy because all you got to do is turn both of them into improper fractions and then multiply them. I mean, it's scary. Here, I'll just do that one because now you got my attention. Yeah, go ahead. Do it with me. I don't care. See if you can beat me. This is going to become a, is it 7 over 4 times 6. one does stink. I don't like that one. Who's it for?
Oh, I got 9.
3 and 19 over 24. Okay, the one that I wanted to show you though is this. You have 2 times 4 and 2/5. What do you suppose we have to do? Yeah. No. We're not regrouping, we're not subtracting, we're not looking for common denominators. Remember, it's multiplication. We don't need a common denominator. Get common denominator out of your brain right now. No, if we multiply, that's still 1. 2 over 2 is 1.
Turn the 2 into an improper fraction.
And how do I do that?
You
What is 2 as a fraction? 2 over 1. 2 over 1 times 22 over 5. And solve it. 44 over 5. 8 4/5. Okay? Don't forget what whole numbers are as fractions. That's an important thing you need to remember. Your homework. Page 266, 14 to 52 even.